Well, first of all, before we get into this, and I want to mention this off the bat, so you basically, before you hit that comment line and mention everything's already been resolved. The subject matter we're going to discuss now concerning critical drinker and basically the YouTube copyright system. The video in question has been returned back live on Critical Drinker's channel. Take a moment, flip over there. If you haven't subscribed to him, give him a following on that. He would really appreciate that. The person has over 2 million subscribers plus on there. Really good content on that. But the thing about it is, and I get pissed off on this right now, my channel, we got about 12 or 13 copyright claims on our channel right now, which I'm trying to resolve. I only can resolve a couple at a time. It was a lot more at one point. Some of it is from the BBC network. Critical Drinker has HBO. I deal with the BBC to that point because basically they just don't like what I have to talk about their product, which in most cases, what I've talked about it, because we don't talk too much about Doctor Who anymore. What I have talked about it has been good things out of the BBC, which was old classic stuff. Like the tripods I discussed one time, and I got copyright claimed for an old TV series that basically it's not even available on streaming. You might be able to find it on that someone may have uploaded it on YouTube or one of the other sites on there that they don't own the situation, but it's available out there. But it's not in great quality because the tripods they haven't remastered. But I was talking about how good the series is and how most people don't know that it exists, a show like that. But then I get copyright claimed on it. In other words, they want the money. They want the money off of my channel, which sadly I haven't even reached that level yet. We're still trying to fight our situation because the YouTube algorithm keeps us down depending on what's going on at the moment. On one occasion we're pushing forward and then we fall back for a little bit, and that's been happening. It's happening again. But what we want to talk about here is basically the copyright system in itself and the failures that the abuse that a lot of these companies like HBO /Max, Warner, BBC Network, UMB, or whatever the hell they're called, and many others, that they use this system and basically try to shut down our channels for transformative information under Fair Use Act, that we're within the law. We're within law on there. But before we get into this, don't forget to comment, like, share, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. We really do appreciate that. We're about, I think we're getting to about 1340 around there at the moment. We're moving up a little bit as we are fully returning back on there. We should be fully back for the summer as we are still installing some new stuff. As you can hear, audio has changed a bit. Our editing system is not on the laptop anymore. We're using a full computer, so we have a little bit more speed. So basically, we're not as slow as we used to be, so we're able to pump out more content faster than before. And we're getting there. We're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. Be patient with us. And also, don't forget to check us out. Check me out on Sci-Fi Snob on Wednesday night. We're doing Voice in the Wilderness episode of Babylon 5. Doing both parts, I believe, in that episode on there. So check me out. I'm going to be on the panel. I'll leave the link below. It is a great show. Great discussion on there. We go in depth into Babylon 5 itself, especially for those of you who haven't seen it. We go into situations where basically we talk about the production itself, ins and outs as well. So, about a week ago, is it about a week? Yeah, by the time this airs, it's about a week. Critical Drinker puts up a video for The Last of Us on the last episode, which was, from what I saw, it was pretty horrendous. My wife is watching it. She's okay with it because she likes that monster zombie type show. She's understanding what I mean by the problems on it, but she's someone that, she'll continue with this particular show for a bit. But I could see her ending it if they go to season 3. I don't see her going to a season 3 on this show because the way it's been going. Pedro Pascal was one of her favorites, and now that for those of you, yeah, spoiler alert, yeah, he got killed about episode 2. Which most people who know Last of Us, that was going to happen no matter what. Whether they were going to do it in season 2 or season 3, it was going to happen. And the thing is that, one thing about Critical Drinker, and I love, he just goes right in depth on the episode. I mean, there's a couple of YouTubers out there, Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, and a couple of others that really gets into the issues. And it's the same thing with, we talked before about Sci-Fi Snob, his channel also, we go in depth with Babylon 5, to the situation, the good, the bad, and the ugly to the situation, even though such a great show like Babylon 5 is. And the thing is that as of late, and this is for quite some time now, we've been us as YouTuber content creators, or you may call this the new independent media, we've been attacked by these companies. They don't like what we talk about even when we talk good about them. Even when we praise their product, they don't like to hear it from us. Whether we praise it or we denounce it, we slam it. They'll just hit us with a content creator. And, this is, they'll hit us with a copyright. They'll hit us with a claim. And on occasion, sometimes, I tend to see, I'm pretty good on what footage to use. If I use a picture, for example, on something like that, or able to use a video footage, I know I'm not going to get hit by it, by certain companies that they won't copyright claim to that point in the copyright system, but others will. And like I said, BBC, notorious on me. Warner does me every once in a while. Most of the time I can fight it out, and they'll remove it. And like I said, I haven't been able to get back to these last 12, 13 that I've been trying to get cleaned up on as well. I mean, I even have one from the WWE, which is, they've been hitting a lot of my older content. And the thing is, some of my older content has been gaining some speed as far as viewers. So, that's been happening lately. Because I've known in my analytics that at least 20, 25 shows, videos that I have produced are seeing like what they call a second light. And basically people are catching on to it, and that's how they get into my channel. And some of them are returning for my newer stuff. So, 1 month they're watching my older stuff, the next month they're catching my newer. But, you look to this and you say to yourself, YouTube needs to pay more attention. Or do they care, really? Because this is an exploitation of their copyright system. You have people out there that basically don't want us to talk about their product. They don't. They don't want, Disney's notorious for that. HBO's the other one. Naughty Dog. Speaking of Last of Us, the whole Naughty Dog situation with the video game itself, Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy, and a lot of the others, they got slammed for talking about how bad the second video game was. And it was. It's not lying. Why would we lie and say it's a good product? If this was a car or a machine or something like that, and we lied like that it was good, we can get sued for that. basically saying like, "Oh, it works great. This and that." Meanwhile, an accident happened, this and that, and they have to do a recall to that point. Now you'll say, "Well, everyone has their opinion and their different thoughts, which is okay." But the way that this is being handled is that we're not allowed to say anything about the product because they don't like it. Well, the mainstream media isn't talking about it. They're staying away from it. And the ones that are covering it and giving the ones that are praising it and saying that it's good and it's not is a push of propaganda. For quite some time now, it's hard to move up in the algorithm on his channel. This is why we're on Rumble. We've had our issues with nothing wrong with BitChute and Odyssey. Nothing wrong with them. But unfortunately, because the lack of staff, we don't have enough time to upload to multiple channels at one time. If I had one or two other people with me, fine. I'd be uploading more and more. We're going to be working out BitChute and Odyssey. In fact, BitChute, as of recent, I think, what is it? Germany or United? One of the countries out there, they're no longer, you're able to get access to BitChute unless you have a VPN. That's as of recent. So it goes to show you where things are going. And I talked here about, age verification, age assurance, the adult industry, the problems that we go through, and that basically the adult industry is under attack to the situation because, people will try to put the blame. This is the new boogeyman that they tried to put upon everybody. Back in the 90s, it was video games, TV, and music, to that point. If you remember if you're as old as I am and you remember all that Senate subcommittee hearing, which they pushed around. Remember, these are the people that are still, that destroyed the Saturday morning cartoon. These are the people that are putting stuff on PBS and calling it education, and it's not. And they're wondering why their federal funding is being cut. And this is the same thing as, that eventually down the line, who knows if YouTube will be still owned by Google? Because I believe that basically there is a reckoning coming for YouTube and Google itself. Google doesn't realize, and YouTube, that they could be making a lot of money. They could be making a lot more money than what it is. They have great people on this platform. Same thing on Rumble. Rumble knows to that point. They understand that, and they push these forward. That's why they're doing very well for itself. Could they be better? Yeah, sure. Of course. There's always room for improvement. But getting back to YouTube, people don't want to watch the newscasts that are going on right now. Because basically they're not getting what, literally what they want. They want to hear the actual what's going on out there. What's truly going on. And that's the thing. This is why CNN and MSNBC have seen low ratings. Even Fox. I mean, you have a company like Newsmax that's doing a lot better than them. You have Tim Pool, who does better than a CNN primetime. And then they're freaking out that he had his chance in the press corps, the White House press corps. They lost their mind. But I also like, and I got to give my two props up to Critical Drinker for putting this up there on there, and I love how he put it on X. He goes, "Hey HBO, are you guys going to unblock my Last of Us video or continue to shamelessly abuse the YouTube copyright system like a bunch of pussies? Because really, you're just proving how afraid you are of actual criticism," which is true. Now, remember, as I said before, the video's back up and running. And this is because of those of you out there that have been watching, other content creators like us that have just sat there and just clicked on to YouTube and says, "Why are you doing this?" He is within fair use. You go watch the video. Has he violated any copyright? No, he hasn't. It is within... It's transformative and educational. It is within fair use. How many times has YouTube violated the fair use rule? How many times have most of these Hollywood studios violated music? I get hit from companies that I've never heard of abroad, and I try to fight it, and they said, no, nope, sorry. It's the blocks that maintains. I said, but I'm in the US of A. If you want to block the entire channel from being seen in that, that's fine. But you don't, copyright claim the product right on there and put a block on it for around the world. And this is what they've done as well to that point. I know there are people, when people ask me, he goes, what can I do to start my own channel? I says, go right ahead, go start it. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take time. You have to work it in. Pay attention to everything. Pay attention how you're editing and how you're doing your programming. And always question any copyright claim that comes into you. Don't just put it aside. Tell them, why are you doing this? Give me an explanation, because most of the time they won't give you it because they don't have an answer to it, because they know they're violating the Fair Use Act. How many times we went through shit during the 1980s on public access? It was never easy. There were points where certain content was blocked. I mean, literally, because some of our stuff, the live stuff, they couldn't really do too much. All they could do is shut us down. But some of the stuff that we submitted as tape, they would put a block on it, blocking out the content itself. And that happened. And there were lawsuits to that point. And then on particular subject matters, they wanted the cable customers at that time period to submit a card saying that basically, yeah, I want this show unblocked for me because I want to see it. And that's basically making lists of people, what kind of content that people likes. Now you may say to yourself, well, that's advertising and stuff like that. No, it isn't. It's literally making lists of people on a particular type of content. Like for example, if it was the gay cable network, that they're making, lists of, they watch gay stuff, or they watch porn, or they watch stuff about guns or stuff like that. This is the things that, several people I knew fought for back in the 90s. That they basically tried to shut it down. And this was Warner at the time, Time Warner, that was doing this. See, the thing about it is that they just have this thought within them. They says, who am I to criticize their programming? Well, I've been doing this since the 1980s. There was a time where Hollywood, the independent studios, used to send me boxes of, what they call 3/4 inch broadcast stuff of the movies they wanted me to review. They would send me tickets to free movies to review and stuff like that. These days, and you can ask Chris Gore, a lot of times these people, they said, well, we'll send you the ticket, but you got to give us a good review. Or they'll give you stuff, but you got to give us a good review, which is wrong. Take the criticism. Find out what's wrong with the product. Why are you losing money? Listen to what is going on. Listen to the fans. Listen to the independent media. They're telling you what is wrong with your product. And listen to the ones that are telling you what is good about your product. Yes, we have praised some of your product. And we've said, some points where we said, I don't know, it might be bad. And then we were wrong and we admit it. Like we should, like everyone in the mainstream media should be doing, but don't. But here's a do for you. I want you to do is to comment on the line below there. Let me know your thoughts about this. Critical Drinker is a really good content creator out there, so do check him out on there and do comment about it. And don't forget to like, share, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. Once again, don't forget, Man with the Show will be on the panel Sci-Fi Snob Retrospective Babylon 5 Voice in the Wilderness this coming week, so do check it out. I'll leave the link below. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and so long.